Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give our praise, honor, and glory to you all. By Shem Yahushai, by Shem Kakadash. I give double honor to the elders and apostle of Great Millstone, who go well and teach you sound doctrine. And peace and blessings to you. As you can see here, I have Proverbs, the 7th chapter. This is actually an artwork that I made using ChatGPT. And I was inspired after watching something on social media. I can't remember the situation fully, but it was in the same ballpark, and somebody actually covered. Somebody actually was talking about the video, and then I went to and then I decided, you know what? Let me make an artwork with Proverbs, the 7th chapter, and then that inspired me further to do a lesson. So as you can see here, this is this is more towards young brothers because the older, more experienced people, like older, more experienced brothers, they have experience. But you're younger comes with less experience. You're doing something more rashly without thinking things completely through. But Proverbs 7th chapter, as you can see, young, unexperienced guy. So the last video was actually interrupted, but as I was saying, from the image, this image was more directed at the younger brothers because more older brothers have more experience, and we have more experience in these type of situations. You're less likely to be caught out, which this image is painting out a younger brother who is less experienced, who has been caught by Jezebel. When you're young, you do stuff, and you think less about the consequences until. Alright, so when you're young, like when in these kind of situations, you do the action and you think later about the consequence. When you're older, you think through the consequence before you commit the action because you understand this action. Let's even take away from the action being good or bad. This action, right, can lead to something bad, which it would not only negatively impact me, it could negatively impact the people around me. Not only that, but I would not want somebody to do, I would not want something like this to happen to me, so I'm not going to commit the act on another person. No, fair enough. You can be caught out if you don't know about it. You can be caught out if you don't know about it. But the Proverbs 7 is on the lines of you knowing something. And that Proverbs 7 chapter is so real. Because at one point in your life, you're going to be tempted like that. As you can see here, with much seductive speech, she persuades him. With her smooth talk, she compels him. And to compel somebody, it means that you're trying to convince them. Yeah, another word for compel is to convince. And as you can see, this is a young man. He's more experienced. He's looking at. He looks a bit more frightened, but he's looking at her like, I don't know. And then she's looking at you. Well, come on, it's not gonna hurt you. And the young man followed her as the axe goes to the slaughter. Why does it say axe goes to the slaughter? Because ultimately, this is how a lot of young men actually get caught up. They get caught up in these situations with these young females. What will happen is you'll get involved with a female and you'll know she has a man. So eventually you think that man can't do me anything. Well, it's not my relationship. Or I don't owe this man any loyalties. So on and so forth, right? And the man, you never know what's going through the man. So there could be a situation where he may be caught by the female, or the female could tell the man lie and say, oh, he forced himself onto me. You never know what will happen. And a man, because as we know the scripture says, the rage of a man is no normal thing. So the man could, come now. The man may have a Mach 10. The man might take out the anger upon you. You never know. Because the Lord could have it to where that's your judgment. That's where your sin is supposed to sit. As you can see, she fits the look of what Jezebel would be wearing. No, Jezebel can be wearing less. Jezebel could even wear more modest clothing, right? But I wanted to make it more obvious, she can see she's wearing revealing clothing. To kind of say, so you can see what she's working with, as I would call it. But let's go right to Proverbs, the 7th chapter. So I was looking up a UFC coach. We had some news on the man. Give me a minute there. Alright, so as you can see, this is Proverbs 7:1. Proverbs 7:4 say, unto wisdom, thou art my sister, and call understand their kingdom. And you know what? Something that I should have already read is, it is truth. You could be the most knowledgeable. As I say, you can if you could be the most knowledgeable brother. You could be the most diligent brother without the discipline that you say Joseph did have when Potiphar's wife came onto him in the house. Without that discipline, you're gonna drop. That discipline can be transferable to, you may do sports now, really, to stay dedicated to it. Some days may look bleak, or some days may not look as appealing as your first days, but you have to keep that discipline and keep pushing. Because, Joseph understood that you're not supposed to. He knew that, you're not supposed to be with the next one's wife. Because, obviously he was a servant in the house, and he was doing the work in the house. And, obviously the one would have seen him doing work in the house, admired him, and she tried to come on to him. But when she was rejected in the house, she felt embarrassed and actually tried to call Baal out for help, as if the man, tried to have his way with her, which, when you read the story, it never went like that. And then obviously we know that he was what you call imprisoned now. So jumping from that point, there's actually a verse. Here, you're not supposed to sit down and have a drink with your next man's wife, because let's go back to the picture actually. With much seductive speech, and what's that seductive speech that she that's you telling you those nice things you hear. No, I'm not gonna say it. We're all old enough to understand what kind of words she would have been whispering into his ear. She persuades him. How does she persuade him? With smooth talk, and compels him. In other words, and to compel somebody is to convince him. So she's using those smooth words. So like one good example is the male aspect is what Will Smith used to do in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So she's doing that from the female angle. And the young man followed her as an ox goes to the slaughter. He is a young man lacking sense, because he's a young man lacking any sense. He's putting himself in a situation that he knows very good and well that he should not be putting himself in a situation like this, because the husband or the boyfriend for the girl now can find out, and that's his judgment. Because how many times have you seen on the news where a woman has been cheating and she caught judgment, but some of the time as well you hear about the man that she's having the relationship or the affair with, he's also caught judgment, because the boyfriend has said, everything is going through his mind, how much he did for the girl, how much, how could she do him like that, and the rage takes over him, as the scripture I believe so in this. I believe the scripture says that, the rage of a jealous man. That rage of a jealous man is nothing to be played with. So you have to know, you have to understand, because that's a dangerous thing. Alright, so Sirach 9 and okay, Sirach 9 and 9, sit not at all with another man's wife, nor sit down with her in thine arms, and spend not thy money with her at the wine, lest thine heart incline unto her, and so through thy desire thou fall into destruction. So in other words, don't put yourself in an unnecessary situation. You don't need to sit down with the next man's wife. Now, fair enough, you know, there may be some kind of situation where, you may have someone, their girlfriend may come to the house, or, just trying to there may be a situation where you are around the next man's wife, and when you're around the next man's wife, you have to do what you're supposed to do. Use wisdom, move circumspect, and try to move righteously. Don't target the next man's wife, because you know that you're not supposed to be with a woman that has a husband. So don't don't target the next man's wife, because that's how you could get your judgment. Okay. Okay, so Sirach 9 and 9, don't sit down to eat with another man's wife. So, she's enticing him with nice things. She's like, oh, you can come to my house. I can cook you some food. We can sit, we can chill, we can drink some wine. I don't know, we can maybe do something when we finish. Or join her for a drink, especially wine, because wine, so you brothers know that wine make female do some craziness. You may give in to the temptation of her charms and be destroyed by your passion. Say unto wisdom, thou art my sister, and call understanding thy kinswoman. So in other words, you have to keep them close to you, because you're going to need to use them. You're going to need to use wisdom, and you're going to need to use understanding to help you in these type of situations. You can't just be rash and moving. That's something young and foolish. You have to use wisdom to understand how to operate in these type of situations. That they may keep thee from the strange woman, from the stranger with flatterers with her words. And how do you flatter someone? Like when you give them compliments to soften them up. So to butter them up, you give them compliments so that you hope that they basically, they can do what it is you request for them, because you've given them the compliments to soften them up, just so that you can, for example, you have your parents, you say, mommy, beg you $100, beg you $200, beg you $400, beg you $10, beg you £10. Let me a mark, let me a 5 sheet, or just let me a money. because you say, oh, you look like 5, you look 5 or 10 years younger than usual. Your slaves really agreeing with you. Oh, you cook the food that you're eating must be agreeing with you. Oh, daddy, you look so buff, you look so big. What kind of workout regimen are you going under? Like what kind of workout routine are you undertaking right now that you look so big? By the way, there's some, the by the way is them dropping in that favor, them dropping in those, not the really favor, but them dropping in what they want after they butter you up because you're more likely to fall when somebody butters you up because you feel good and nice because of the compliments. And the strange woman that is talking about here is a harlot or a Jezebel, as you can see here. The word is Zur.
Strong's H2114. Zur. Zur.
For strange woman, prostitute, harlot. No, I don't think prostitute would necessarily be the right word, because prostitute you have to, there's no indicate, with an adultery you don't really need to pay for dates and such, but she is definitely a harlot. She's definitely a harlot. So that the word harlot would be correct. The word prostitute, I know it's the same. It's same it's the same as in, it's wicked, but kind of different in a certain. It's kind of different in a certain aspect. For I look for at the window of my house, I look to the casement, and the casement is the window. But let's go to the word. Would be the curtain. You have something to cover. You just blinds. You may look through the blinds. A lattice window, a casement, a lattice window, lattice is a word, and I don't think
Strong's H822. Eshnav.
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 No, the word in that is Eshnav. So as you can see, you have a casement. So you have essentially something that you're going to look through. And beheld among the simple ones, I discern among the youths a young man of wider understanding. And as you see the picture, he is a young man lacking sense. Yes, he lacks no common sense. He's not applying any wisdom into the situation that he's in. He just wants to go ahead with it. Passing through the streets near her corner, and he went the way to her house. No, this is not really talking about just a literal street. No, yeah, it can be street. Shook.
Strong's H7784. Shook. Shook.
Wait, no, the wrong word. Is it here that I'm talking about? Oh, no, not this verse, the next one. In the twilight, in the evening, in the black and dark night. And for those of you who may not know, dark twilight is like the sunset. So, after like the sunset, you have different phases of it. So you can see, you can see, you can see an example of a dark toilet below here. So this is a dark toilet, you have some pictures of a dark toilet. So that's just give you a visual idea of, the kind of setting. It's kind of it's latest vibes, in other words. And behold, there met a woman with the attire of an harlot and subtle of art. No, she's dressed visually. This is either sexually casual, or slutty formal. And to be honest, I don't really know the difference. Maybe I don't even know what slutty formal is a thing, but I heard it one time. She is loud and stubborn. Her feet abide not in her house. In other words, she can't really sit peaceful at home. She doesn't feel good to be in the house. No, she is without no in the street, and light in wait at every corner. So she caught them and kissed him, and with an impudent face said unto him, I have peace offerings with me. No, Salaki, let me go back actually. This is the verse I was talking about.
Strong's H 7339. Rechov. Rechov. Gesenius Lexicon.
Broad or open place or a plaza. Now in Jamaica, a plaza is like a mini shopping center with different shops, or something to that effect. In the United Kingdom, you have like mini malls. Well, you have like the city center, and then you have those mini outlets. Or I don't remember what they're called, but that's what I'm talking about. They have a list of the shops and the sign, and you drive through and you have a big car park. You can just drop into any one of the shops. It's like a mini shopping place. In the US, I believe you would have a mini mall. I don't think in the US you would have a mall. Although I've never been to the US still, and I've never been to the US to really comment on that. So in other words, she's getting active. She's she in the street, she at the shopping center, she at the plaza, she at those mini, she at the mini shopping places. Just walking to see which young man she can get, cause her man is, she wants somebody. So she caught him and kissed him with an impudent face and said unto him. And impudent, so she was very forward. She wasn't timid in what she did. So in other words, she's showing you that, hey, I want you, and I'm making sure that you are aware that I want you. I have peace offerings with me. This day I have paid my vows. Therefore came I forth to meet thee, diligently to seek thy face, and I have found thee. I have decked my bed with coverings of tapestry, with carved works, with fine linen of Egypt. I have perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. And this is nothing new, in other words, this is her way of saying, listen, we can go to my place and talk. I like, basically saying, I like the way you look. My bed is, nice and comfortable. My house smells nice. Come let us take our fill of love until the morning. Let us solace ourselves with loves. So, let's go back to my place, chill, and, for the good man is not at home, he's gone on a long journey. So, my man, my husband, or my, not real, what, I'm speaking in the perspective of, the Jezebel, her saying, oh, my man, my man is gone away, the good man or the husband or my boyfriend is gone away, is on a long journey. So he's gone on a long journey. So she's like saying, well, don't worry about him. It's not going to be over now. We have enough time. He's taking a bag of money with him and will come back at the day appointed. So in other words, he has a scheduled day that he has to come back, but he's not going to come back for now. He may have had a building project that he have to jump out to the house to go and complete. I don't, he may have to be gone for a week, or he may have gone to his sister's house. His sister may be sick. He may have to, go look for his mother, to go and help out his mother in the house. The mother may be blind, or she may be unwell. With her much fierce speech, she caused him to yield with a flattering of her lips. She forced him. He goes after her straightway as an ox to the slaughter, or as a fool to the correction of the stocks, till a dart strike to his liver, as a bird hasteth to the snare. And when a bird hastens to a snare, it means hasted is going to a trap, and know that it is for his life. Hearken unto me now, therefore, O ye children, and attend to the words of my mouth. Let not thy heart decline to her ways, go not astray in her path. No, yeah. So in other words, don't put yourself in unnecessary situations with this Jezebel. If a woman is coming on to you with a man, you already know what to do, right? And you see, with these Jezebels, just keep them at arm's length. You don't need them anywhere near you to drag you into any unnecessary situations and try and get you caught up in any kind of judgment. Yeah. Just keep them at arm's length, and you will find yourself okay in these kind of situations. For she has cast down many wounded, yea, many strong men have been slain by her. Her house is the way to hell, going down to the chambers of death. You know what? I'm going to close off there. And in closing, I want to give our praises and glory to you all. Bashim Yoshai, Bashim Rakakadash. But the next time, Shalom. Lord willing, this one work.